I don't know, man. I never heard anybody call me a scholar. People are calling Philly 500 a scholar? Holy cow. Well, hopefully he can bring some of his knowledge to what's happened the last couple weeks here. I mean, you're being called a scholar now, like you're Socrates or some shit. I mean, I'm very impressed with your guys calling you a scholar.
Well, I do calculate the calculations of the cornbread, so I'm with it. I'll take it. Nobody's ever called me a scholar before, so I'll take it. No complaints here. Even though it's not true, but I'll take it.
How was your holiday, brother?
Oh, it was good. It was great. Except for they ran out of eggnog. All the stores were out of eggnog. There was an eggnog shortage.
Kidding.
No, so I had just enough to get through Christmas, nothing for New Year's, so I'm a little bitter about that. But what are you going to do?
Are you bitter about the way your birds are playing? Are you concerned?
Worried. I am and I'm not. I am and I'm not. A little bit of both. Because part of why I think they're struggling is, one, I don't think, not having Jalen Hurts play last week was a big deal. I'm sorry, but Minshew stinks. All right, he stinks. Pick six, 6 minutes left in the game, you're down 3, throws a pick six. That can't happen. Now, the coaches didn't do a good job either. But I think the injuries are what has me concerned. But I think if Jalen Hurts comes back, I think we'll be fine. But nobody can tell me that Jalen Hurts does not affect this team, is not the MVP of this team, because obviously this is a different offense with him not on the field.
Well, to that point, okay, it's a different offense with Hurts in there. Why would the coaching staff run the Jalen Hurts system with Gardner Minshew? You're running RPOs with a guy who can't jump over a stack of quarters, and you saw what the outcome was. I mean, I think the coaching staff –
I know.
Do you know what they're doing today, Philly? The defensive coordinator and the offensive coordinator are apologizing for having a shitty game plan. You know what Doug Peterson is doing? Doug Peterson's talking about a great moment where we have a chance to win a division title, and very proud of his players and his quarterback and his team and what they're doing. It just shows me a little bit on varsity coaches and experienced coaches. I mean, I don't really think they've done a good job of coaching, not just for the Saints game. I don't think they've done it the last 3 weeks. Do you agree or disagree?
I agree. I agree. Especially, I think you're right about the whole using Minshew not the right way. Not changing your offense at all to fit Minshew's skill set. Although I still think he's not that good. I think they, if they would have just ran the ball more in that game versus New Orleans, I think they win. So I do think that the coaches do deserve a lot of blame for that. I mean, listen, I was kind of pissed off at Gannon early in that game. The Saints go down, have an 8-minute drive, go down, score a touchdown, to come back with the second drive. They moved the ball, but he adjusted. He did what he had to do to adjust. The offense never did anything. Miles Sanders, 12 carries. Kenneth Gainwell, 2. Boston Scott, 2. Obviously, a horrible game plan.
I'll ask you this. Do you think the Philadelphia Eagles have the best cornerback duo in the NFL?
Yeah, I think it's up there.
Okay, well, then let me ask you this. Why would your defensive coordinator surrender man coverage and only play zone coverage and never in a million years? And then here, let me expand on it more here. So if you have the best cornerback duo and you don't play any press coverage, they did a little bit in the second half against the Saints, but majority of the year, they've played zone. The last 2 weeks, Dak Prescott is 77% completion percentage. Now Andy Dalton's 81%. The last 2 weeks, your linebackers really can't cover those tight ends. And Philly, I keep hearing, well, the Eagles have the best corners. Well, then why does your defensive coordinator not utilize them?
This, I would love to know the answer to this. This is something that I literally complain about every stream I'm on. If you watch my streams, every stream I'm complaining about this. For whatever reasons, he doesn't always play man. I don't know why. When you have Bradbury, Slay, I don't know why. I don't know why you can't let Slay shadow CeeDee Lamb. Why is CeeDee Lamb in the slot going up against Josiah Scott and you don't have Slay on him? Like, what takes these guys so long to adjust? It's like he comes out, he plays on, but then he'll adjust. Like you said, in the second half, he played more man. And what did they do? They shut him down in the second half. So this is one of my complaints with Gannon, but he's been like this since he's been there. I don't think it's going to change, unfortunately.
I got a list today of the 50 top free agents in the NFL, and in the top 10, 3 of them are Eagles. Bradbury is the 4th-ranked free agent. Javon Hargrave is the 5th. Chauncey Gardner is the 9th. If you go out of the top 10, Miles is 22, TJ's 27, Brandon Graham's 29, Sayama's 41, and Fletcher is 48. So 8 in the top 50 are going to be high-priced free agents. Dude, James Bradbury is not coming back this coming season because he's going to demand $17 million. That's an open market price for a top flight corner. And Javon Hargrave, dude, he's making $12.9 now. A frontline D lineman like this with a 12 or 13 sacks at a defensive tackle position, I know they put on the table a 3-year, $51 million deal, but he's going to get like $65 to $68 million in the open market. This team's not going to look the same next year.
Perhaps. I mean, perhaps. They very well might not. There's a lot of guys that they got to sign. The one thing I will say is that whether you like Howie Roseman or not, he's always very good at manipulating the cap. So my hope and what I would do out of those guys you talked about, I would consider franchising James Bradbury, like for one more year. Just give me one more year with him, draft a corner to come in and learn behind him. Hopefully you could work out something with Hargrave. I think Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, Bradbury, and Hargrave are the 3 guys that I really want back here. But Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's got to be number 1 because of his youth and his age.
And he's making $836 right now. He's going to get a ton of money in the open market. He's 9th right now.
Yeah. But I don't think you can let a guy like that walk. Not his age. I mean, that was his first year at safety, and he looks like he's a player. I think Howie's going to have to figure out how to manipulate the cap. I mean, we talk about signing Jalen Hurts to an extension. He's got to find a way to have it kick in, after this following season, because I really want Bradbury back for one more year. And I would consider franchising. I swear I would.
That's a great take, and I'll tell you why. It's not so much about 1 year on Bradbury. It's maybe 1 year on Slay because he's 32 in January.
Right.
And you wait and see how he plays. You draft a guy, you franchise tag. Now, would you franchise tag Gardner-Johnson or would you do Bradbury?
I think Bradbury is going to get more money. So I would probably franchise Bradbury and then just sign Gardner. That's what I would do. And then I have 2 first-round picks. One of those first-round picks, I'll probably draft a cornerback. And then I have him come in and learn behind Slay and Bradbury for a year. That's what I would like to do.
How he moves that to me, but he's traditionally not used the tag. Is that correct?
Yeah.
When's the last time he used the franchise tag? Can you remember? Maybe somebody could throw that up?
I don't remember. I
can't remember the last time that Howie has used the franchise tag, but that makes sense. I mean, I could see him because, like you say, to me, the question mark is going to be Slay. Okay?
Right.
Because is Slay going to be the guy coming in at 32, 33 years of age? And is he going to still put up the big numbers that he did this year?
Yeah. That's a great question. I don't know. A lot of people have had problems with the way Slay has played of late. I think Slay, I look at a corner like Slay and I say, what motivates him? Like, what gets him up for a game? What gets him to play his best? And obviously it's when he plays the best wide receiver. So when he gets a chance to go one-on-one with like a Justin Jefferson, remember Monday Night Football earlier in the year, he shut him down. That's a big deal for him. He gets up for that. But you have him playing zone and he's playing some third wide receiver and their best receivers in the slot or all over the field. I think it doesn't play for him. I think you need to get him on the best receiver and let him go to work. Whether next year, he's got the same skill set, I don't know. But I think if you could get one more year out of Bradbury and Slay, then we can figure that out.
Deshaun Jackson, Tone says, is the last time the Eagles used the franchise tag. That's a bit ago.
I don't remember them using the franchise tag on Jackson. They might have. I just remember them cutting him, but I don't remember the franchise tag.
I'm going to ask you another
question
might be here. Now, I'm going to go here with Doug Peterson.
Oh, I think it was Macklin, not Jackson. I think
it was Macklin?
I think it might have been Macklin.
Let me throw this at you here. If Doug Peterson is coaching this team, you feel better going into the playoffs? By the way, let's do this here. He's won the divorce, dude. This guy's gone down to Jacksonville. They're fighting for a division title on Saturday. He's completely turned around Trevor Lawrence. Mm-hmm. They are going to – they fired the NFL Coach of the Year. I think it's between him and Brian Dable on the job that the two guys have done that are going to get the most love. I think Doug has done a spectacular job, a chance to win 9 games, turn the damn Jags around. If he's the coach, and here's why I say, if he's the coach of this 2022 Eagle team, instead of that JV coaching staff you have, here's why I think that they win. Dude, there wouldn't have been the same game plan that they had for Gardner Minshew that they had with Jalen Hurts. When Wentz went down, I asked Frank Reich this question last night. Did you revamp the offense? He goes, we revamped the play calling. We really didn't revamp the offense. We revamped the play calling, and we had a completely different system. The next day, they beat the Giants. He throws for 4 touchdowns in his first start against the Giants. Right. Dude, that's experience versus inexperience. When you have a staff today apologizing for not putting players in a position, I think the coaching staff has a lot. I think there's a lot on this coaching staff going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, we're looking at, you're talking about Doug Peterson, a guy that won a Super Bowl. Guy's won a Super Bowl. So, he has that experience. He's been through it. These guys, and I've said this about Nick Sirianni and these guys all year, I feel like at times they're learning how to win. If you look at some of the games early in the year and they had these big leads, they didn't know how to put teams away or shut them down. I think this is a team that's learning how to win. I think this is a coaching staff that's learning how to win. And now they're having to learn how to close a division. They should have had, they're up 3 games with 3 games up, 3 games left to play. And we're talking about going into the last week and they could blow it. That would be an all-time choke job. No question about it. But I think these guys are learning how to win because they're young coaches. I do think they're learning.
Couple last questions here for you. Do you also agree with this? I mean, when you watch the way that they couldn't close games out, just to, continue what you were saying, I think one of the reasons that they couldn't close games out and the way we wanted to see them close it out is because they really didn't have a game plan. And what I mean by that is your game plan can't be this, Philly. Well, Jalen, if it's not there, run. Well, that means this. Jalen Hurts covered for shitty play calling. If the play wasn't open, he takes off. Jalen did more for the enhancement of how we see that coaching staff. And this is why, Philly, that they didn't manage him correctly. The Chicago game is a prime example of it. The Bills saw what they did. I asked Ken Dorsey, did you see what they did? He goes, yeah, we weren't going to do that to Josh Allen and run him into a game where they were 31st against the run. Think about this, Philly. The Chicago was 31st against the run. As I said, Cowboys were like 26. This Saints team was like 24th, and they're throwing the ball. That means this. Jalen would have been running into a brick wall the last 3 weeks. You're going to run this guy into the IR list.
Well, I mean, it kind of did, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he hurt his shoulder on a play he shouldn't have been running. So, yeah, I think I do worry about them overusing him and him running too much. I do. It does concern me. I do think it's a concern, and I do think there's something to be said about how much Jalen Hurts basically, hides bad coaching or bad calls. I do think there's some truth to that. I even think that's part of it on the defensive side of the ball too. People talk about the defense and all the sacks. I say, imagine if they were more aggressive on defense, how much better they could be. I think they could even have better statistics than they have now. So there's some truth to it. I don't dislike Nick Sirianni though. I got to give him some room to figure this out, because I saw this guy last year totally change his offense to do what needed to be done to get that team on the right track, start running the ball, and get into the playoffs. So I have hope and confidence that they'll figure out these last 2 weeks and get it straightened out going into the playoffs.
Okay, finally here, receivers. I say this to you, that I think A.J. Brown has had a better year than the 04 TO year. And in your opinion, has Devonta now finally lived up to expectations on when they drafted him?
I said Devonte Smith would lead this team in receptions. He is going to do it. Devonte
88.
Smith, 88. He's tied a franchise record for wide receivers, Irving Fryer. So I think A.J. Brown's year is probably better statistically than T.O.'s.
T.O. had 1,400 yards in like 12 or 13 games.
Yeah. The only thing with T.O. was he got hurt. He got hurt.
He did have 14. Hey, he did have 14 touchdowns that season.
Yeah, he did. Too. That's true. But he also didn't have Devonte Smith on the opposite side. When you have a guy of that caliber, he's going to take some receptions and stuff from you. It's just the way it is. But if you look at Devonte Smith over the last 6 weeks, I mean, he's turned it on. To me, he showed exactly how good he is. And I think in a year or two, I think he'll be the best receiver on this team by far.
Well, I think
I'm a big Devonte Smith guy, man.
I see this, and I understand why they call you the scholar now. I mean, Philly 500, the scholar. You're the scholar now, man. I mean,
I know. I'm the scholar.
I mean, people are like, really, like, he tells the truth. He's the scholar, and I'm like, wow, man. That's fantastic. So
now I'm gonna tell my wife that. I'll tell my wife to say I'm an idiot.
Do they get home field?
They're going to get home field. I think so. I can't see and people get on me for saying this, but it's just the truth. The Giants aren't going to play their starters the whole game.
They're not.
First of all, okay, that's 14-point spread already. So Vegas is telling us they're not playing their starters. So the Eagles should get it, and they need it, because this would be the ultimate choke job. I've never seen a team 3 games up with 3 games to go and then not win it. So yeah, they better win.
So Tone says you're Denzel Washington now. So, I mean.
Well, yeah, I do look like Denzel Washington. Everybody says so.
Well, the eggnog, not having the eggnog looks like it made you lose some weight. You look pretty good.
It did. It actually did. I spent my 2 months dieting so I could drink all the eggnog in the world, and they didn't have any.
And they hosed you on the eggnog.
And then they hosed me. So,
Hey, man, I appreciate you doing this, man. I love having you
man.
on, man.
Thank you,
Very
man.
Cool. Very cool. Very cool.
Thank you.
Tell people how they can find your podcast.
Just type in Philly 500. I'll come right up. This beautiful Denzel Washington looking man. Come right up.
You get the scholar. Brother, I appreciate you coming aboard. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
You got it. Philly 500. Make sure you check my boy out. Please hit the like button. We appreciate it. Keep it here on the National Football Show.